so we can get started, inshallah.
Okay. Inshallah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. آمين. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد الفاتح لما أغلق والخاتم لما سبق ناصر الحق بالحق والهادي إلى صراطك المستقيم وعلى آله حق قدره العظيم. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد النبي الأمي وأزواجه أمهات المؤمنين وذرياته وأهل البيت كما صليت على إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم بارك على محمد. اللهم إني أسألك من كل خير سألك من محمد النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم وأعوذ بك من كل شر استعاذك من محمد النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. اللهم اغفر لنا ما قدمنا وما أخرنا وما أسررنا وما أعلنا وما أنت أعلم بما منا. يا ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. اللهم إنا نعوذ بك من فتنة المحيا والممات ومن فتنة القبر ومن فتنة مسير الرجال ومن عذاب النار ثم المصير. رضي الله عن أصحاب رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. أما بعد. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome everyone to our weekly Maliki Fiqh class with our teacher, Shaykh Ameen Abdul Abu. Shaykh Ameen has some things he wants to tell us, so I'm not going to talk very long. The one thing that I had in mind to share with you all today, before we start, Shaykh Ameen once told us that his teacher, the renowned, illustrious, world-renowned scholar, Shaykh Dr. Suleiman Dunya, rahmatullahi alayhi, he was this very, very big scholar in a number of different Islamic sciences. Inshallah, you know, everyone's heard me talk a little bit about that before. And one day, you know, Dr. Dunya, rahmatullahi alayhi, he was in his office and he was sad. He was a little distraught. And Shaykh Ameen, you know, said they found him in his office. He found him in his office and he asked the Shaykh, you know, why he was upset. And the Shaykh said, you know, the Rabiata Islamiyya, the Muslim World League, you know, they haven't been giving me my stipend like they normally do. You know, he was brought here to be the Imam. He chose to come here to be the Imam and the Shaykh at the masjid, and his expenses were to be paid for by the organization, and they weren't paying him properly. So he shared this with the students. He said, I didn't want to tell you all, but I'm telling you now because, you know, it's getting to be a problem for me. And they asked him, well, why, Shaykh? You know, why are they doing this? He said, because they don't want me teaching you all Islam on this level. Because after this, they won't be able to fool you anymore. I share that with you. Some of you maybe have heard me share the story before, but I share that with you so that you can understand how serious this business is. Dr. Dunya, rahmatullahi alayhi, was one of the great scholars of Islam, one of the very, very highest achieving scholars in the whole world. With regard to various Islamic sciences. And he chose to come here because he wanted to empower us in this part of the world to be able to practice our religion properly and govern ourselves without other people trying to take us for a ride, trying to fool us, trying to pull the wool over our eyes, trying to control us. You may have heard Shaykh Ameen last week say that Dr. Dunya rahmatullahi used to always say, I can teach you, but I can't lead you. I can be your teacher, but I can't be your leader. And this is very unique. There's very few, you know, there's a handful, there's a few, but there's a handful of Islamic scholars we know like this of the history who came from majority Muslim countries and actually came to empower the indigenous people to be able to govern ourselves. And so it's very important that when you come to these classes, you come understanding that in addition to learning Islamic knowledge, you're also learning how to put it in context. You're also learning it in a way that will give you the ability to apply it and live with dignity and self-determination and autonomy as a Muslim community in this part of the world. So this is a very serious matter, and most of the people ain't getting this kind of training, and you'll find that this causes people a lot of problems in their life. When they have an issue with their marriage or with their children or with whatever, they're calling on the phone to Saudi Arabia or somewhere like this to get a ruling from somebody who doesn't really understand the context that they're living in, right? Or maybe they don't have something that extreme, but they learn the Islam in a way where they it becomes sort of debilitating. Like they feel like they're learning to be second-class citizens in their religious community. So I'm not going to talk long because I know Shaykh Ameen had some things to say and he just wanted me to make the dua. But after this, you know, I don't want to do a second introduction. And this is something that Allah put on my heart this morning to share with you all. So I pray that Allah give you success, give us all success and tawfiq. And that when you listen to these lessons, you realize that what's at stake is your ability to practice your Islam and pass it down to your children in a way where they can't be fooled, in a way where they won't be able to be taken advantage of because they didn't have access to the proper learning. So we have to take this seriously. And we have to make dua for Shaykh Ameen for giving us the opportunity to have this knowledge and benefit from this knowledge. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Shaykh Ameen.
Alaikum salam wa barakatuh. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Wassalatu wassalam ala ashraf al-mursaleen. Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa ala alihi wa ashabihi wa tabi'ina lahu bi insan illa yawmiddin. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin an-nabiyyil ummi wa azwajihi ummahatil mu'minin wa zurriyatihi wa ali bayt. Kama sallaita ala Ibrahim innaka hamidun majid. Wa sallallahu alayhi wa ala alihi wa ashabihi wa sallama tasliman kathira. So you can hear me?
Yes,
we can hear you, but we can't see you.
I don't know why, because it's a white box in the middle of the screen. Let me see what it says. It says the host has asked you to start your video.
Yes.
Just push that box where it says start my video.
Yes, Shaykh.
Okay. It worked. Now I see me up here, but okay. Thank you so much. So Isaac, I see you've been having a little bit of trouble. You know, I know that you're very, very astute at this computer stuff, IT stuff. So if it's giving you trouble, it definitely don't make no sense to ask me. I figure, I'll leave it alone so I can figure it out. So, oh, yeah, mashallah. Yeah. Okay, I just want to talk to you guys for a minute. So over the years, I'm sure everybody knows, because Dr. Habib Rasul is very thorough in explaining to you the amount of time that I've been doing. You know, where other people, they may start a program and it lasts for a year or so, if that long, and then they go on about doing whatever they do. Well, for many, many years, you know, this is in my whole life, my adult life has been consumed with doing this type of work. So throughout that period of time, by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's mercy, I've been able to avoid getting caught in the fitna. I don't want to start telling you about the fitna. It's been, you know, I can't compare it to anything. You know, it's like, it's just terrible. It's just, you know, the fitna in America, especially in this part of America where I am, it's astronomical, you know. So to say that for 50 or more years, I've been able to basically avoid being in the middle of that fitna, it's only because I've never dealt with the public in regards to like this type of thing with the videos and stuff like that. My teacher, he always said that they have a good place if they're used properly, if they used well for good, that you could get good out of it. And I see that for using it, that you could. This can help. This can help in the work because it reaches many more people and in a small amount of time. But the problem is that you don't get to really see eye to eye with the people. And, you got a lot of people that's just sitting back, they listen to the class and they're picking this and picking that. And, that's their problem, that they have their own reasons, why they're picking, I've never had to deal with that stuff. So I didn't even think about it. But now that I'm doing some kind of computer stuff, I'm getting a lot of people contacting me for stupid things that I don't even know who they are many times, and everybody's opinion. And anyway, Allahumma salli wa sallam mubarak Allah Sayyidina Muhammad. Like I just told Saidi Isaac that, I stand on my record. I really don't care what people think. I'll stand on my record before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because that's all that's going to matter. This other stuff, that's people stuff. I don't, like Dr. used to tell me, people not going to judge you. Who cares? He said, somebody shoots an arrow in the air. Dr. used to tell me, somebody shoots an arrow in the air. If the arrow don't find its mark in you, then it searches around to see who could have hit, and it'll turn around and hit the person who shot it if it doesn't fit the person that they're shooting it at. See? So he used to always tell me, don't worry about that, just do your work. Who cares? And we came up in an environment where, they had a lot of people who they want to be scholars. They didn't want to put in the work. They used to make a joke and call me the shadow of Dr. Dunya. That was a big joke. The shadow of Dr. Dunya. So Allahumma salli wa sallam mubarak Allah Sayyidina Muhammad. But what I've seen now, that this computer thing exposes, it like opens up a door for Shaitan, because he's been coming in my life. He's been coming in my life in places that I never had to deal with him before. So one of the things I always teach my students, if somebody comes to me and says, I want to be a student, Shaykh Ameen, I say, oh, okay, but let me tell you, you can't be a student if you're going to involve yourself for my class in fitna. If I find out that you're involving us in fitna, I'm going to drop you as a student. And all my years, the brothers and sisters, they know I mean that. I don't have time for that kind of stuff. And it's divisive to the Muslims. Because like Dr. used to tell me, he said, he used to keep me from fighting because, as a young guy, I came up fighting my whole life. So, my nature was always to fight back. But, he taught me, you don't have to fight back. You only fight, when you have to fight, So he said we don't want the people to think that the Muslims are fighting each other, because they don't know how to define that. They don't know who's who. They don't know, everybody got kufi. So, what it looks like to the outsiders, or the outside world, is that the Muslims are fighting each other. So he actually literally made me, rein it in. That's a no-no. So, from his teaching, I decided that, when the fitness stuff starts, I was always looking at it, it was going to come. But like I said, because I didn't have the computer open, the computer stuff, I didn't care about that. He, his words weren't as meaningful as they are now. You see? So, I've come to the realization that this opens up a lot of doors for shaitan, a'udhu billahi. And I, personally, I'm a person that I'm not going to ask the students to do something that I wouldn't do myself. So, this fitna is kind of becoming a little annoying. And as I told Haj Dawood and Isaac this morning, is that I think I'm going to pull myself out for a little while. And I'm asking the students if you're going to do this work, just keep this in mind. Abu Bakr Siddiq, and he knew about the man that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam had given the information who is a hypocrite. See? But he made the man promise not to reveal this information. But when the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam died, Abu Bakr searched out that man. And he asked him, he said, I know, that Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam gave you that information and you promised not to, give out that information. But, I just want to know one thing. Is my name on the list of the hypocrites? We're talking about Amirul Mu'mineen, Abu Bakr Siddiq, and asking, is his name on the name amongst the names of the hypocrites? The man that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, if they weighed his faith on the scale and the faith of the Ummah on the other side of the scale, the faith of Abu Bakr Siddiq would outweigh them. And he's asking, is his name among the names that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam revealed as hypocrites? So we're walking around feeling, that we have the right to do this or that, or, we're backbiting people, slandering people, never thinking that maybe it's not the people, maybe it's us. So, I don't want to be among that confusion. At this point in my life, the only thing I could think about is trying to straighten out my life. It's trying to clean my heart. Trying to put myself in a better position with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. My teacher once told me, I saw him do this, I sat with him for years, and I saw him always do with his tasbih, and he taught me to say, Allahumma salli wa salam mubarak ala Sayyidina Muhammad. He said, if you don't learn nothing else from me, these words right here are words that's worth the whole world and everything it contains. Every time you say Allahumma salli wa salam mubarak ala Sayyidina Muhammad, 10 virtues are recorded for you. 10 sins are removed from you. And you move 10 times closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Jannah. I saw him do this every day for years and years and years, all day long. He'd be having a conversation with me or with somebody else, and he'd be still using his tasbih, saying, Allahumma salli wa salam mubarak ala Sayyidina Muhammad. So I always tell my students this story, so inshallah, they will put that into use in their life. And, you know, the dua, you know, maybe it will, that one time that is equal to 10 times to get to remove sins. That dua, which is one time is worth 10 times, you know, gaining virtue. And that dua that is worth 10 times getting closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala may be the thing that gets us over the hump when we meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he always used to tell me not to waste time, not to talk too much and waste time. Don't talk too much and waste time. And, you know, he said, laughter kills the heart. Laughter kills the heart. But at the same time, he didn't want us to become so starch that we couldn't laugh, you know, about something at times, you know, to lighten up the space. You know, so used to say, you think the Prophet ﷺ walked around all the time with a frown on his face? You know, and as I thought about it, and he started explaining different things, habits of the Prophet ﷺ, I realized, no, he didn't do that. You know, he didn't want to make people uncomfortable. So, you know, sometimes he made jokes. You know. You know, he wasn't always frowning and always ready to jump on people. No, that wasn't the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He had a kind, peaceful heart. So, you know, in any case, I just wanted to share this information because ultimately, yeah, we do fiqh. We do the answers and the decisions, you know, of jurisprudence. You know, but I do more than that. Physical doctors, medical doctors can't help you until they realize what the problem is. Medically, they can't help you until they realize what the problem is. You know. In Islamic work, when you're working with the people, you have to try to figure out what's the problem. And then, you know, what he used to say, after he said that, knowing the problem is half the cure. So I know my own people. If you be true with yourself, you know your own people too. You know yourself, you know your family, you know your own people. So we have some serious problems those problems can't be fixed by a decision of jurisprudence. The only way they're going to be fixed is by recognizing the disease and trying to follow the instructions of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam to rid that disease. A decision of fiqh is just that. It's a decision of fiqh. That in itself will not rid the disease. The disease is in the heart and the character of the people. So we have a lot of work to do as a people. I don't even know if I will ever see, I don't know if I will ever see many of the brothers that came up with me and sisters, that good people, great people, they've died. They will never see during this period of time on the earth that kind of a change, because they're gone and I'm on my way. They have a saying, the hadith say, if when you wake up in the morning and you don't think about your people, then you're probably not one of them. So I want you to understand that this thing I do with my life, morning, noon, and nighttime, for many, many, many years, not for money, not to be the imam, not to be the big sheikh, but for the love of my people, for the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Even when they attack me, even when they always have a problem, nothing you do is right. It's okay. I understand the nature of my people. I understand myself. But the one thing I always promised Dr. Dunya I would not do, I would not be caught in the fitna, inshallah. So, I'm gonna have to kind of go back in the shadows, because this computer thing, it opens up too many doors for the fitna. And, my students, I love my students like children, like my children. I can remember them from years and years and years ago. See, instances in time that are etched in my mind. I love them, men and women. See, I want to see them succeed. So if I do take some time away, I want you all to remember, don't get caught in the fitna. I would rather see you step back. Let them do what they do. Step back. Talk to the people who are close to you, your children, your family, your friends, people who ask you for information, trying to put their life right, talk to them. But, after all these years, I've put in and you have put in, we have done a lot of work. Most people don't realize we have done a lot of work. I remember when Jesse Jackson was running for president, we gave him dawah on a scale that it even surprised the Secret Service. See, you have no idea what our life has been like. All you see is Shaykh Ameen, and all you know about people is that, very untrusting, which I understand. There's been a lot of bad things, man, people have done in the name of Islam. But you have to know, your biggest enemy are not the ones that you see talking on the screen. Your biggest enemy are the people you never even see. You don't even see them. You know, they're your biggest enemy. You got some people that their main purpose in life is to keep us backwards. They think we don't have no value anyway. Wala hawla wala quwwata illa billah. Allahumma salli wa sallam wa barak ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa ashabihi wa sallam tasliman kathira. So that's been my job. Okay. Don't forget, if you catch any of my students acting up like that and getting involved in the fitna, you tell them. Shaykh Ameen said, we're not supposed to do that. They must stop. They can't denigrate the mother of Imam Malik, rahmatu alayh, the memory of Dr. Suleiman Dunya, and the sacrifices he made to bring this information to us. See? We can't disrespect him like that. Even though he's gonna get what he deserved from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala anyway, but just the idea that would be a cutoff point, because people can use that as an excuse to say, oh, look at them. They supposed to be people from a mazhab. You know, it's bad enough that you got all of these la madhabi people making up their own stuff as they go along, you know, inventing stuff. They read a hadith from this book and a hadith from that book, and then they formulate some type of conclusion based on what their idea is. You know, we're not supposed to be in that fabrication. We're supposed to be the people who can cite from the decisions of the madhab based on our schooling from a mujtahid, imam, alim, ulama of the highest level, so that we know that this information is the information that comes from Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and how it should be applied. So, you know, if you catch any of your fellow brothers from the study group or this every decade for the last 5 decades, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has surrounded me with different types of brothers. Every decade for the last 5 decades, brothers who could help to get this work done in some way or another. And I noticed that each decade, the type of brother who came was different. And I used to always ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you know, because after 20 years or so, I started getting tired. And I'm like, Ya Allah, you know, you want me to still keep doing this? You know, I feel like I'm going to be in a fight every day with my own people, you know. And he would send more brothers in the next decade that could help, you know. There's a brother out there right now. I'm looking right at him. When I was down and out, he sent me a car and the money to maintain the car. I didn't even ask him. See? Dr. Junior used to tell me, who needs friends when you already got it going on? Who needs friends when when you don't need stuff, when you got, who needs friends then? You need friends when you down and out. That's when you need friends. See? Allahumma salli wa sallam wa barak ala sayyidina Muhammad. So these are just lessons I'm trying to talk to you about to help you find your inner self, your to find the light inside you and to perfect that, to work on it. This worldly stuff is very much meaningless. It's meaningless. It's fooling us. See? It's useless unless you take whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent and use it for good. Good being helping other people. See? Other than that, what are you doing? You know, spinning your own wheels, looking in the mirror, being happy with yourself. Yeah, mashallah. Okay. Is Frank there? I see you, Frank. Okay. Frank, you probably need to come and talk to me, right? I know. This week, inshallah. Okay?
Shukran.
Afwan. Allahumma salli wa salam mubarak ala Sayyidina Muhammad. Okay, thank you, Dr. Rasul. Okay. The author will now show us how many rakats we have to do in order to perform the prayer in its due time. The prayers that you haven't done, you're past the time when that prayer should have been done. They call it a postponement of a prayer. And they tell, this section tells us about when we lose the right time for a prayer. Is there some way that we can fix that? Because like I told you last week, many of us think we doing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala a favor by making these prayers. Is that a favor to him? He gave us the opportunity to help ourselves. So, it's like we owe Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala these prayers. But sometimes things happen, like, you may fall asleep, you may be sick, women may have their menstruation, different things that will prevent, different things that will prevent you from making your prayer when it's supposed to be made. And they want us to be warned to be careful to fix this by doing the prayer that you miss as soon as you have the ability to make it up. A sick person, if they stay sick for a long period of time, they're not expected to make up all these prayers. See? If they stay sick for a long period of time, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he don't expect them to make up all these prayers. All they're gonna do, they're gonna get sick again, trying to make up all these prayers. So, he kind of gives them a lot of leeway, but not because, your back hurt or, people who are legitimately sick, he don't respect you if you got a what they call those, they got these ailments that just don't go away. Chronic. That's right. You know what my wife said? My wife said chronic. And that's exactly what it is. It's a sickness that it's just not going away. Now, when we were young, most of us, we were like full of vim and vigor. We ain't get sick. We ain't really get sick. So that wasn't a question for us back then. But as we got older, sickness became a way of life. There's something that we knew we had to keep a check on our prayers and whether or not we're able to do our prayers because, you know, we got sick a lot on different things. Some of us got chronic illnesses that just don't go away. So sleep is different. If you sleep, you can sleep for a month. When you wake up from that sleep, you got to make your prayers. You got to find a way. You can't make them all at one time. You know, of course, we know physically most people won't be able to do that. But they're not exonerated from those prayers for sleep. You're not held guilty of nothing as long as you sleep. But once you wake up, you gotta fix those prayers. The value of the prayer don't decrease as time goes on. The value of the postponed prayer don't decrease as time goes on. The value of the postponed prayer increases. As if you borrow money and the longer it takes you to pay it back, the more they're going to want from you to pay it back. Well, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you know, his prayers, he expects for us, if there's nothing to stop us from doing our prayers, he expects our prayers from us. And so the people who think that because they make 3 prayers a day or 2 prayers a day, that, you know, they are doing something great. You're not doing something great. You're not. You're still, you know, unless there's a physical, some problem that, you know, you don't have the ability. Allah don't blame you if you don't have the ability. But if you have the ability and you just, you know, derelict of your duty, doesn't make you a great person. Even if you made 5 prayers a day on time, that doesn't make you better than everybody. Because that's your duty. That's your duty. You know, many people think that, you know, they're doing Allah a favor by making these prayers. You ain't doing Allah no favor. That's your duty to your creator. I hope you're understanding me. Because, you know, you got these people walking around with kufis on that think, you know, because I make prayers and I got on the kufi, you know, I'm unique and I'm better. You ain't better. You're not better. Some of the people that think they're better are worse. Yani, it's in your heart. It's like, you know, what kind of a person are you? Doesn't have anything to do with whether or not you are. The hypocrites used to do these things, you know, and nobody really knew that they didn't believe in that. They were just, you know, integrating themselves among the Muslims. You understand? It's not just because you make that action, that don't make you great. That's our duty to say, we Muslims, you know, and some of the things that you have to perform to be able to launch yourself among the Muslims are these duties. Well, the prayer is one of those duties. Okay. Allahumma salli wa salam mubarak ala Sayyidina Muhammad. So, the author says, if someone drinks alcohol and remains drunk until the obligatory time of prayer, he will receive 2 punishments. One for drinking alcohol and the other for causing himself to postpone the prayer. Notice what they say, for causing himself to postpone the prayer. So what we learned from last week is that some of the things that happen that make you not be able to pray are things from Allah. And then there's some things that happen to you that makes you postpone the prayer that comes from you. The ones that come from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you know, he don't blame you for those. Like when a woman gets some menstruation, you know, she can't make herself not get her menstruation. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, sit it down, it's coming. You know, nothing that she can do about it. You know, she can only do something about it, about the prayer, when the menstruation goes away. So, you know, I've noticed that among the women, many times when the menstruation goes away, they are very lax in fixing the prayers that came, you know, during the time before, exactly before the menstruation came, and very lax in fixing the prayers for after the menstruation goes. They delay, you know, they're not looking at saying, oh, what prayer time was I in when I noticed the menstruation had stopped? This is big, because they're responsible for those even until the day of resurrection. Aha. Those once the menstruation stops, whatever comes after that belongs to you. But while, you know, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, let's say, let me be more specific. Let's say that you're in the middle of the day, woman, in the middle of the day, and she had the opportunity to make her prayers, you know, for most of that middle of the day, but she didn't make them. And she didn't make them, even though, you know, she could have. Some of them don't make them because they're in the other time, which gives you permission that you can delay your prayer until, you know, a little later without fault. So if your ministration happens to come at that time, Allah don't blame you. He don't blame you. But if you delay it, you delay your prayer until you come into the obligatory time of the next prayer, and then the ministration comes, because you don't know when it's coming exactly. You get some kind of idea, maybe it's on the way. You're going to be responsible for the prayers that you miss while you were delaying before the obligatory time comes in. And the ministration beats you. It comes before, you know, that obligatory time, which means that you're responsible for that prayer as soon as you get clean. I don't know if you're following me. This is important for the sisters to know. Nobody's telling you that. Nobody, you know, it's like many of the brothers are leaving their wives, their daughters, their mothers, their aunties in the darkness with these type of things. You know, but one of the things I was trained is that basically whatever belongs to man in ibadah, in worship, also belongs to a woman. So being a woman don't mean that, you know, she could be lackadaisical, or, you know, like she got a special type of approach because she's a woman. No, these rules and regulations basically belong the same way to a man as to a woman. Of course, a man's not going to have menstruation, but he have other things. And so, you know, the basis of this talk is that you have to be careful to know what belongs to you and what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sends. Two different things. See? Okay. I was trained not to give but so much information at a time. I don't want to overwhelm the people. So I'm going to stop here and give you room to ask me questions. So my helper, Dr. Habib Rasul Miller, is like, I probably couldn't, without him and the sock, I probably couldn't do this work because I don't know nothing about the computer stuff. Sheikh Mai know more about computers than me, way more. But he's much younger. Anyway, I don't know if you guys actually can see time clearly, because when Doug Dunya started calling me Sheikh Ameen, there was no such thing as cell phones. No such thing. That was a figment of our imagination. So, mashallah. Okay, Dr. Habib.
Yes, Sheikh.
Okay, look and see if there's anything I need to answer, inshallah.
Inshallah. As of right now, nobody's typed any questions in the chat, so I'm encouraging people to type their questions in the chat. You went straight to our hearts today, Sheikh. So I don't know if people were thinking about,
Mashallah.
specific questions like that. I know I wasn't.
Mashallah.
But inshallah, if everyone, if you have questions, type them in the chat. Or if if that's difficult for you, you can always raise your hand. We'll take you off mute so that you can ask your question, inshallah.
Inshallah. So listen, brothers and sisters, something you need to know is the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created men and women. Men generally, they don't really change in character that much. Like once they develop manhood, that man is the man you're probably going to get for a long period of time. That's his character. See? And a woman, she's gonna change. She may change daily. Until you really start to recognize the warning signs, you don't know who you're gonna wake up with. See? So I'm telling you, with them, we have to be more, more patient. We have to try to, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam say he couldn't even help us with that really, because he didn't really understand them. He didn't really understand them. See? But the nature of them is kind of different than the nature of man. Which is why I don't understand, if these sisters would just take a closer look, they would stop getting stuck with these crazy guys. Because the guy is probably not going to change. If he's a bucket of garbage, he's probably going to be that same bucket of garbage with a kufi on. See? But if he has good character, good manners, good manners is good news for a person, because Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam equated good manners with paradise. If he's rude and obnoxious, he may have a pretty face, but if he's rude and obnoxious, he's not going to keep looking pretty. Eventually, you're going to look at the guy and go, man, I want to murder this dude. He's rude and obnoxious. So, be careful when you're picking spouses. Most of us from the old school, we still have the same spouse from like, the 1960s and 70s. And if we don't, it's probably because the one we had during that time probably died, or, some tragic thing happened with them. But in any case, we find that the sisters keep getting stuck with these guys, and they don't know why. So they got to examine themselves and see what keeps attracting me to these kind of guys. Guy never have a job. He's not responsible. He don't want to spend no time with his kids. Man, we got some serious problems. I'm not responsible for the problems in other people in other cultures in different places in the world, but I do feel responsible for my own people. The main reason is because I was given an inside look at, how things should be. And then I was given an inside look as the way it is. We got to work really hard, much harder, to try to put it in its right place, inshallah. Okay. I'm gonna see if there's questions now.
Brother Omar is asking, are we having class next Sunday, Sheikh?
Say it again.
Brother Omar is asking if we're having class next Sunday.
Next Sunday? Yeah,
yes.
Inshallah. There's gonna be a class, inshallah. Even if I'm not like, sometimes I need a break. Because you don't realize I got other stuff that goes on all week long, and mashallah. But sometimes I need a break. But I always, inshallah, make sure that there's somebody here adequate to do the class. You don't have to think, well, the Shaykh Ameen not doing the class, I ain't gonna be no real good. No, I got some really adequate students. They're not pretenders. They put in their work, so they can answer, they can do stuff, As a matter of fact, sometimes I talk to them and I seek their opinion about things like life stuff, because over the years I've come to trust their opinion and their abilities. They're grown men, they, even the women. Sometimes I talk to them and ask them, what do you think about so and so and so? Because that actually is a sunnah. A sunnah is, if you have adult children, you got a wife, that you should talk to them about your life decisions. You shouldn't be a dictator. Just say, I don't want to hear what you got to say. No, that's the wrong way. The right way, because some of us got wives that are extremely intelligent. We got kids that are extremely intelligent. They can tell you something that'll spark something in your brain. You say, oh, I didn't think of that. So, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He know what He's doing. We don't know what we're doing, but He know what He's doing. So, if we follow the pattern that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam set for us, we're going to be safe. So when the Sahaba asked Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Ya Rasulullah, why do these people, wind up in that position, meaning a bad position, and he said, because they refused. And then Sahaba said, refused? He said, yeah, they wouldn't follow direction. They just did, they made up their own way. They refused to follow the sunnah. Allahumma salli wa sallam mubarak ala Sayyidina Muhammad. Okay.
We have a couple questions now, Sheikh.
From New Zealand.
So the first question that I asked is from a sister. She asked, what if she makes salat before she hears the adhan? When she makes the adhan, does she have to make it over?
She makes salat before it's time. That's what she's saying.
That right.
Forget about the zon and all that. She's making salat before it's time.
No.
That's what you're saying.
Now, so the question, if they want to clarify, you can clarify. Is this before the time of prayers come in, or they made the prayer after the prayer came in, but then they heard the adhan after?
Listen to
question you can clarify, inshallah.
Listen to me. Allahumma salli wa salam wa barak ala Sayyidina Muhammad. The adhan itself is a reminder that it's time for the prayer. The adhan itself is not a part of the prayer. The prayer itself starts when you make the niyyah and say takbiratul ihram, Allahu Akbar. That's all that in between there and assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa assalamu alaikum. Everything in between takbiratul ihram and Allahu Akbar is inside the prayer. Or everything else, all the du'as and whatever, that's outside the prayer. Okay, first of all, the main thing with the prayer itself, you got to understand the times of prayer. So what we have been doing is we depend on the gadgetry to know it's time for prayer now. So if somehow you lose the gadgetry, you be wondering, hey, is it time for Lord? Is it time for us? You know. In any case, if you make the prayer 2 or 3 minutes before the gadgetry, it's okay. What I would suggest you do is if it's a couple of minutes before the gadgetry goes off, turn the gadgetry down. Just get the gadgetry, you know, and make your prayer. But if it's like an hour's difference, if it's, you know, if it's long enough for you to like make 2 prayers, whatever, then you have made the prayer too early, so you have to make that prayer again. But if it's just a matter of, like Imam Shamsi, he said, we are addicted to the gadgetry, you know. So the people are so addicted to the gadgetry that they forget that actually the gadgetry is set by a person. So this is why you be in the masjid and you hear Allahu Akbar, and then a few minutes later you hear Allahu Akbar, and then a minute later you hear Allahu Akbar, Allah, because that's the gadgetry. That's not like the, and this is why we tell the people to learn about the signs of the prayer so that you know how to find your prayer time without the gadgetry. I like you guys, man. You know, I like people who are trying to learn. You know, to me, it's probably nothing better. You know? So for those people who trying to plan to do me in, mashallah, you know, I'm ready to go anyways, because I got really not that much here that I've been, you know, I need to deal with. You know, I'd much rather meet my Lord, so I don't have no fear. You want to do me in? You know, mashallah. You want to conspire and do whatever it is you do, mashallah. You know, like Umar ibn Khattab was sitting in the masjid with Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The desert Arab came, and he was talking so bad about Umar radiallahu ta'ala that, you know, he was just sitting there, taking it, absorbing it. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was just smiling. So at one point, Umar radiallahu anhu, he said he started to defend himself against the desert Arabs. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam started shaking his head and frowning. So when the desert Arab left, Umar radiallahu anhu, he said, Ya Rasulullah, how come all the time he was talking bad about me and everything, and I didn't say anything, you was just smiling and happy, He said, but as soon as I started to defend myself and have something to say back, you started to frown and shake your head. No. He said, why is that? He said, because Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, because when you wasn't trying to defend yourself, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent angels to defend you. You didn't have to do nothing. But as soon as you started trying to defend yourself, the angels want to, and the little devils, Shaitanos be like, he came. So I don't know what you hear, but for me, that's my life. It's like, man, please, you don't have no control over nothing. Only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have control. Do whatever you want. That's how I feel. Now, Dr. used to tell me, you have the right to defend yourself. Dr. used to tell me, he said, I'll be in the mosque, I'll be waiting back there in his quarters. He'd come out, he said, what are you doing? I said, I was just waiting for you to come out. He said, no, go out there and practice your art. I said, you want me to practice martial arts? He said, yeah, because, that gives you courage to to know that if necessary, you can be a defender of, of Islam and your family and like that. So okay. So I go and practice. And anybody who knows me, they know we put in a lot of practice. A lot of practice. Hours and hours and hours. See, early in the morning, at nighttime, in the afternoon, whatever was available. And we practice hard. Omar kicked me in the head one time so hard that it almost knocked me out. So, we wasn't playing. We was not playing. See? So anybody who coming, I'm supposed to warn them. I'm older, but I'm a practiced person. So, you come at your own risk too. I'm not gonna just stand by and let you kill me. That's, Allah will decide, oh, you're going out today by the hand of this guy, and I'm going. But now, then you say you got the right to defend yourself, and I will. Okay. And what else you got, Dr. Rasul?
Yes, Shaykh. We have a clarifying question. Someone's asking about when the woman starts her menses in the optional time of prayer. If her menses start while she's in the optional time of prayer, does she owe that prayer?
No. If the menses starts in the optional time, she does not owe that prayer, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give them permission. See, that they don't have to, because the optional time is in, they don't have to just jump and go run and pray. If they do, alhamdulillah, because the scientists of Islam always say that the earlier you make your prayer, the better. But it's not mandatory that you have to make it as soon as the optional time comes in. The optional, unless you're in the masjid and the imam comes to lead the prayer, then you have to follow the imam in the prayer in the masjid, and the imam in the masjid should try to make his prayers, you know, and lead the people in the earliest time for the prayer. But, you know, us as individuals outside the masjid, you know, you have the right to delay, you know, until the optional time is over. When the optional time goes, though, and the obligatory time comes, you gotta pray. See, so that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he don't punish us or make a problem for the people who have postponed their prayer during the optional time. That's like permission to postpone your prayer during the optional time. You know, but when the obligatory time comes, then they become responsible for, you know, whatever they haven't done, they should do it if they have the ability. Okay, as you like, Dr. Rasul.
And then I guess their follow-up question is if the woman's menses comes during the obligatory time, that prayer they're responsible to make up. Is that correct?
If it comes at the obligatory time, they're going to be responsible for that because they had all of the optional time, you know, to get prepared for to do their prayers or to do their prayers. So, you know, just like anything else, when it becomes obligatory, you should have done it. If you haven't done it, then you got to do it immediately. See? So anyway, in any case, I think that that they've learned a lesson today that will go with them, you know, for many years to help them to be successful in fixing their prayers in the right way, inshallah, that they have postponed. As you like. Hagatain.
Okay, that's not a question. Did anybody else have a question? Anybody maybe who doesn't want to type on the screen?
We good?
I think so, Shaykh. I think so, Shaykh.
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
Where's Muhammad and Ibrahim?
They outside playing with their mom.
Backyard?
They're in the backyard. Yep.
Alhamdulillah.
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 Okay. So I think we can close out, Shaykh. It's 11:20. You done gave us about an hour and a half. So I hope the people in the where I am it's 11:20. But people in the audience, I want you to take note. If you have questions, you want to get them in early, because we're not going to just wait around forever for you to come up with questions. If you don't have questions, it's okay. Shaykh Ameen gives us a lot to think about. But don't wait till the class is over and then call Shaykh Ameen with the question that you could have asked when we was all here together. Don't do that. And if I hear about anybody doing that, I'm gonna let you know I'm gonna get annoyed, because it's not fair to Shaykh Ameen. He has a certain amount of time that he's given us for this, and it's not fair to us because we want to benefit from your question too. So don't do that. That's not the proper etiquette. Unless it's some extremely personal stuff like that can't be spoken about in public. Don't wait till after the class to call Shaykh Ameen and ask your questions.
Thank you so much. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
Okay. اللهم إني أسألك من كل خير سألك منه محمد نبيك صلى الله عليه وسلم.
آمين.
وأعوذ بك من كل شر استعاذك منه محمد نبيك صلى الله عليه وسلم.
آمين.
اللهم اغفر لنا ما قدمنا وما أخرنا وما أسررنا وما لنا وما أنت عالم به من نار. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. اللهم إني أعوذ بك من المية وممات ومن فتنة القبر ومن فتنة مسيح الدجال ومن عذاب النار وسوء المصير. وصلى الله عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه وسلم تسليما كثيرا. السلام عليكم.
Wa alaikum salam wa barakatuh. Thank you so much.
Wa alaikum salam.
Assalamu alaikum, Sidi Ishaq.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
Assalamu alaikum, bro.